Hi everybody, it's Whitney at All the Shelves, and today I'm going to be doing the New York Times Buy the Book tag. This tag was originally created by Marie Berg, and since then it has just completely spread like wildfire across BookTube. I was tagged by Angelica at Mercury Calling, so I will link to Marie Berg's channel down below and Angelica's channel down below. They are both excellent, brilliant booktubers, so go check them out. And here are my answers to the questions. The first question is, which books are on your nightstand right now? So I found these on my nightstand. The first was By the Shores of Silver Lake by Laura Ingalls Wilder. I am trying to get through this whole series before I have my BFF book club. We were only supposed to read the first three, but I am really enjoying how the series is progressing. And I'm thinking about the stories as a kind of survival narrative that emerged in the 1930s when people were very interested in these kind of survival adventure tales. So I will be doing a review on all of the Little House books when I finish with that series. There are a lot of them, 8, 9, something like that, and I have never read them before, so that's been fun. And the other book that I'm reading right now is for the Readers Inc. book club, which I have talked about here before. I read the Mishima last month for this book club, and this month Conrad has picked Sanctuary by William Faulkner. I am just in love with this book so far. I'm only a few pages in, as you can see. Let's see, I'm 46 pages in, but it's just very accessible for Faulkner, and that's not a must for me. I like some of his more inaccessible, weird kind of stream of consciousness stuff, but this one is reminding me of McCarthy. I'm very interested in those kind of masculine, violent, kind of like ornately sparse stories. I know that's such a weird way of putting that, but that is kind of what his style reminds me. These harsh, stark scenes kind of enveloped in beautiful esoteric language. So yeah, this is going to be one of my favorite books. I know it already. Light in August already is. This one seems to be dealing with some of those similar themes. The next question is, what is the last truly great book that you read? And I want to just put aside for a second the fact that I hate the word truly so much as an adjective. It is just so meaningless. What is the difference between a great book and a truly great book? It's just more great. It's just greatest, greater, I don't know. Anyway, not Marie's fault. This comes from the New York Times. I think the last great book that I read was Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I talked about this a little bit in my wrap-up video. I'm still wrapping my mind around all of the ideas in it. Last time I talked a little bit about how the book thinks about race as an imagined construct, and lately I'm really thinking about how the book represents the idea of the American dream, especially in contrast to how like Martin Luther King thought about the American dream during the Civil Rights era, and how Ta-Nehisi Coates keeps calling it their dream. It's a dream that he doesn't feel that he has access to, and it's a dream that he has to kind of caution his son against. So fascinating, that book. Truly, truly, truly great. The next question is, if you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you want to know? And for me, I am an introvert. I don't love meeting strangers. It's a really difficult thing for me. But if I got the opportunity to meet Ernest Hemingway, there is no way I would pass that up. I know that seems like a weird answer because he's probably like totally annoying and really off-puttingly masculine, and how many wives did he have? Like 7 or something, and he was obviously a little bit unhinged. But if you could meet a guy who took these crazy ideals so seriously that he like bought a boat and patrolled Cuba for Nazis, like why wouldn't you meet him? I would love to hear what he had to say just about everything. Not that I would believe any of it or that I would take any of it totally seriously, but he sounds like a riot. He sounds like so much fun to hang out with. The next question is, which books would you be surprised to find on my shelf? And I actually have a few for this that I am really excited to show off. So the first one, so heavy, is all of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. There are so many of these by now. I think that these are the funniest books. My husband and I both love these books. They're like not, you know, high literature or anything like that, but they're consistently funny, and there are certain parts of the books that we can remind each other about and just like start laughing so hard. Like there is a section where the kid, like the Wimpy Kid, is terrified of Shel Silverstein because he sees the guy's picture on the back of the book and he looks like really crazy and scary, and so like in the middle of the night he's afraid that Shel Silverstein is going to like surprise him in his bedroom. That is a really funny idea to me for some reason. So I have all those. I also own this book about taxidermy called Walter Potter's Curious World of Taxidermy. He's this famous taxidermist who would make little, I don't know if you can see this, little scenes out of, you know, dead animals. Cute little dead animals like squirrels holding teacups and stuff. Why not, right? I am fascinated by taxidermy. My mom actually taught herself taxidermy. My dad and my mom, they were dating, and my dad went away to college and my mom was staying in her hometown for college, and she was feeling like kind of bored because she didn't have like boys in her life or something. I'm not really sure. Anyway, she like took up taxidermy. She taught herself out of a book. She went to her local college and they just gave her dead animals out of their freezer that they had, and she made like squirrels and muskrats and a few other things. People started bringing her roadkill that they found. I mean, my mom is a badass. She's so awesome. So I've been fascinated with taxidermy ever since I knew that about my mom, and we had like some dead animals, like not lying around the house because they weren't used to be like to decorate. They were just like in closets, and we like to use them to play practical jokes on people at like summer camp and stuff. Anyway, so now you know that about me, and my husband got me this book for my birthday, thinking I'd be interested, and I am, so I need to read this one. It's some sort of biography about this guy. And the last one that I want to show you, I know nothing about. I just know that my friend gave me this and I will never get rid of it. It is called The Super Cops, Play It to a Bust by Dave Greenberg. And if you can see this picture, Super Cops look totally super awesome. The next question is, how do I organize my personal library? Ideally, it would be organized by fiction in alphabetical order and nonfiction in subject and then alphabetical order. Like I'd have my film theory books, and then I'd have my literary theory books, and then, you know, a few other categories, history maybe. They are not organized at all though, because I buy books and then it gets mixed up and I get new bookshelves, and so it's really just a kind of jumble. I tend to keep nonfiction and fiction separately, and that's about all I can say for organization. The next question is, what book have you always meant to read and haven't gotten around to yet? Anything you feel embarrassed never to have read? I feel embarrassed not to have read everything. I know that's stupid. I think embarrassment just rules my life. I feel a lot of shame over not having read so many things. I think probably that comes from being in graduate school and being around a lot of really well-read people. But I think the thing that I am most embarrassed about not having read as an American Studies person is The Scarlet Letter. I never had to read it in high school. I've read House of Seven Gables and a few Hawthorne short stories, but I just never had interest in reading The Scarlet Letter on my own, and I was never pushed to do it, so I still haven't. I am really going to rectify that this summer. Let's say this summer. This summer I'm going to read Scarlet Letter. I'm going to do it. The next question is about books I didn't like. It says, disappointing, overrated, just not good. What book did you feel you were supposed to like but didn't? Do you remember the last book you put down without finishing? There have probably been some books in between, but the one that struck me the most was A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. It's my mom's favorite book, and I read a lot. I should just read that book to show solidarity and support for my mother, but I can't get through it. This is the second time that I've tried. This time I got about 200 pages in and I was just bored to death. I don't know if it gets better. I don't know anything about the time period that it's representing, and I think that that really hurts me. So maybe I need to read some nonfiction first and then read this one, or read some appreciation for Tale of Two Cities first, but I have a really hard time with that. The next question is about which stories I'm drawn to and which stories I try to stay away from. I'm really drawn to violent, kind of gory, shocking stories. I like horror and pulp fiction, and I like McCarthy and Hemingway and Faulkner. Like, I like these people who think about masculinity and violence. And then I tend to stay away from YA. I've done my best to find the good stuff in YA. It just seems to be so plot driven and so character heavy that it kind of gives up on some of the writing. And not only do I not necessarily want to read that, but it also disappoints me that they think that teenagers would want that. I think that teenagers are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. So it seems like good YA circulates around the booktube community, and there's just so much that's bad that I cannot commit that much time to it, like figuring out the world of YA, since it's a genre that I just never really devoted a lot of time to. The next question is, if you could require the president to read one book, what would it be? So I've chosen 3 because I'm presumptuous like that, and I think that President Obama needs to take my course on America, I guess. But the first one I chose was Thomas Jefferson's Notes on the State of Virginia. This is to inform the president on where we've been. The next one I chose was The Great Gatsby, to inform the president on, I think, where we are. I think the attitudes in this book are very current and contemporary. And then the last one I chose was Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian, to kind of show the dangers of combining where we've been with where we are, and what that kind of can lead to, and what that has led to, and what it will, I'm sure, lead to in the future. This book, by the way, is terrifying. I should talk about this someday on its own. And then the last question is what I am planning to read next. I am not quite sure, I haven't planned that far ahead, but I do know that my next trip at the end of this month is to New York City, and I have never been, so I'm going to be reading some nonfiction about New York. I have a book at the library right now that I gotta go pick up about the history of Ellis Island, and there's also a book waiting for me about rats and the Rats place in New York City, which I think will really pump me up for that trip. Okay, so those are my answers for the New York Times by the book tag. Thank you so much to Marie Berg for thinking up this tag, because I had a lot of fun answering these questions, and thanks so much to Angelica for tagging me. Again, go check out their channels down below if you are looking for really insightful, thoughtful, thorough, intelligent booktubers. They are the ones to go to. So that's all for me, and I will see you guys in my next video.